Mount Kenya has always been one of the most influential political regions in Kenya. Since the return of multi-party democracy, every presidential election has shown just how decisive the mountain vote can be. With millions of registered voters spread across counties such as Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Tharaka Nithi and Nyandarua, the region remains one of the country's biggest political battlegrounds. In 2022, for example, the majority of Mount Kenya backed William Ruto after then Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua campaigned vigorously across the region. But 4 years later, the political landscape looks very different. Today, several influential leaders are seeking to shape the region's future. Rigathi Gachagua continues to command significant attention among his supporters, while Ndindi Nyoro remains one of the region's most prominent young politicians. Moses Kuria, on the other hand, still has influence through his long political career and government experience. Other figures, including governors, senators, MPs, and party officials, are also positioning themselves ahead of future elections. Then, the question now is, who will become the dominant political voice of Mount Kenya? Today, we examine the personalities, alliances, opportunities, and challenges shaping one of Kenya's most important political contests. So now, why does Mount Kenya matter? Mount Kenya is not just another voting bloc. It is one of Kenya's largest electoral regions. Historically, presidential candidates who perform strongly in Mount Kenya significantly improve their chances of winning nationally. That explains why nearly every major political coalition invests heavily in the region. The area's influence extends beyond voting numbers. It is also a major economic hub, home to farmers, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, and professionals whose priorities often shape national political debates. Let's start with number 1, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua has remained one of the most recognizable political figures from the mountain. His supporters often describe him as a leader who speaks directly about the region's interests. He has consistently emphasized issues affecting farmers, businesses, and local development. At the same time, his relationship with other political leaders has attracted considerable public attention, making him one of the most discussed figures in Kenya's politics. Supporters believe he still commands loyalty across parts of Mount Kenya. Critics argue that he faces the challenge of expanding his appeal while navigating an increasingly competitive political environment. Regardless of differing opinions, Gachagua remains a significant figure in conversations about the region's future. So now, number 2, Ndindi Nyoro. Few politicians have risen as quickly as Kiaru MP Ndindi Nyoro. Known for his focus on economic policy and constituency development, Nyoro has built a reputation as a thoughtful and articulate leader. He often speaks about taxation, budgeting, debt, and job creation. Supporters see him as part of a younger generation ready to take on greater national responsibilities. Political observers know that his future influence will depend not only on policy but also on his ability to build alliances across different regions and within national politics. Many continue to watch his next political steps closely. The third one, Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria has been a central figure in Mount Kenya's politics for many years. He is known for his outspoken style and his willingness to take positions that generate national debate. Having served in parliament and later in government, Kuria has accumulated extensive political experience. Supporters value his direct communication, while critics argue that his outspoken approach sometimes creates controversy. Even so, few doubt that he remains an influential political voice in the region. Let's talk about other emerging voices. County leaders continue to shape local politics through development agendas. Members of parliament build grassroots support by addressing constituency needs. As 2027 approaches, many of these leaders could become key players in coalition building and regional negotiations. So now, what's the role of political parties? Political parties will also play a major role in determining the region's direction. UDA remains a dominant force in many parts of Mount Kenya. However, the strength of any party ultimately depends on organization, grassroots mobilization, and the confidence of voters. How leaders position themselves within or outside established parties will influence future political dynamics. So now, what do Mount Kenya voters want? Political analysts often point out that voters in Mount Kenya are increasingly focused on practical issues. These include cost of living, agricultural markets, employment opportunities, infrastructure, access to affordable credit, business growth, and public services. While personalities remain important, many voters are also evaluating leaders based on performance and policy proposals. There is one question you ask yourself: can Mount Kenya remain united? One of the biggest questions is whether Mount Kenya will continue speaking with a relatively unified political voice or whether different leaders and parties will divide support. History shows that alliances can change quickly. Leaders may cooperate at one stage and compete at another. Political negotiations often reshape the landscape before elections. For this reason, predicting the region's final political direction remains difficult. Mount Kenya remains one of the most influential regions in Kenyan politics. Its leaders continue to shape national conversations and play major roles in coalition building. For example, Rigathi Gachagua, Ndindi Nyoro, Moses Kuria, and many other leaders each bring different strengths, support bases, and political styles. As future elections draw closer, their choices, alliances, and campaigns will continue to attract public attention. The competition to influence the mountain is far from over, and its outcome could have a significant impact on Kenya's broader political landscape. What do you think? Who do you think is currently the most influential political leader in Mount Kenya? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more in-depth political analysis. I am Winston Ondari for National Alert TV.